Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating concept, something called the shortcut illusion. We're going to dig into how we truly acquire knowledge. I mean, are we actually learning, or are we just, memorizing just enough to get by? Think about it. Does getting the absolute highest grade actually mean you learned the most? For years, we've all kind of equated high test scores with complete comprehension, right? High scores equal high intelligence. But actually, that traditional assumption might be completely backward. We're going to explore this through a fun source that perfectly illustrates the hidden, everyday dangers of chasing grades instead of actual understanding. To really get a grip on this, let's dive into the story of two twin siblings. Meet Tinku and Rinky. They are excellent students in the exact same class, but they have completely different approaches to their education. And their dad? Well, he sets up this massive, high-stakes scenario. He tells them he can only afford to buy one new bicycle. The catch? Only the twin who scores higher on their upcoming exams gets the bike. Talk about pressure. Okay, let's break down their methods. Tinku is, well, he's highly strategic. He goes all in on what we'll call the shortcut strategy. He literally tracks down his tuition teacher's past 3 years of question papers and only studies those specific formats, totally banking on the fact that they'll just be repeated. He even mocks his sister's approach. Rinky, on the other hand, ignores the shortcut entirely. She goes for deep learning. She sits down and studies the entire textbook thoroughly, aiming to actually understand the material, regardless of what exact questions show up on the test. So the stakes of this whole sibling rivalry come down to just one thing: one single bicycle. This turns their wildly different study methods into a direct head-to-head competition. It is literally the ultimate test of our core question: will the shortcut win, or will deep, thorough comprehension actually take the prize? Let's see what happens. Well, the school exams pass, the results finally come out, and Tinku becomes the topper. He gets the absolute highest marks, and he gets the bicycle. Rinky ends up coming in second place. So, the crucial takeaway here is that, cramming and rote memorization actually do work in the short term. Tinku gamed the system perfectly, hit the nail on the head, and got exactly what he wanted. It definitely seems like the shortcut was the right choice, doesn't it? But, as we all know, life rarely limits itself to standard, predictable exam formats. That very evening, while the family is out celebrating at a restaurant, they walk outside right into a completely unscripted, real-world twist. A promotional team for the G1 bicycle company is just standing there on the street, mic and camera in hand, hosting a surprise pop quiz for kids. Now, this moment brilliantly illustrates the core difference between how these twins actually learn. The promotional quiz questions were drawn entirely from their school books, but they were formatted totally differently from those past examination papers Tinku studied. And guess what? Tinku, the school topper, completely failed. He struggled so hard, but just didn't know the answers because he had only memorized specific question formats. Rinky, on the other hand, she nailed a 100% correct rate, no sweat. Because Rinky actually possessed the underlying knowledge, she solved that real-world quiz incredibly fast. And what an absolute massive victory for her. She didn't just win any bike. She won the top model G1 plus a new bag and even a brand new water bottle, the whole shebang. She took home the ultimate real-world prize simply because she deeply understood the material, rather than just memorizing a few expected answers. So let's formally define what we are really looking at here. Deep learning is studying a subject thoroughly for knowledge and real-world application, rather than just memorizing answers to pass a test. Tinku learned a super harsh but valuable lesson that day, didn't he? You shouldn't just study for numbers. You really have to study for knowledge. Because numbers might win you a highly controlled school exam, but true knowledge, that prepares you for the absolute unpredictability of the real world. Now, you might be wondering, how do we actually achieve this deep learning? Well, it relies on a crucial truth. Time and tide waits for none. The reality is, you absolutely cannot achieve deep comprehension if you don't manage your time effectively. Deep learning takes real time. Memorization, that's just the rushed alternative. Let's explore another quick scenario from our source material to unpack this whole time management aspect. Meet Vani. She is incredibly disciplined, finishes her projects before they're due, and always studies on time. Then there's her brother Sonu. He's, well, a bit careless. He prefers to go play and constantly leaves today's work for tomorrow. Their parents are always warning Sonu to be more like his sister Vani, but he completely brushes off their advice. Every single time. Watch how this classic trap completely unfolds. 1 week before their exams, Sonu entirely ignores his parents' advice. 2 days before, he's outside enjoying the lovely weather. By the afternoon, Vani explicitly warns him about dark clouds rolling in, but Sonu insists, "Oh, I'll just cram tonight." Then, the storm hits. Boom. The power goes entirely out. 0 chapters studied. Literally left in the dark. I mean, we've all probably felt a bit of that sinking panic at some point, right? Sonu suddenly realizes he hasn't studied a single chapter and just bursts into tears. His entire fragile strategy relied on a perfect, undisturbed last-minute cram session. And the unpredictable real world, in this case a literal rainstorm and a blackout, completely destroyed his plan. Okay, so what are the actionable takeaways for us here? First, always prioritize knowledge, not just numbers. Second, read your materials thoroughly, like Rinky did. Third, never leave today's work for tomorrow. And finally, prepare early for life's unexpected power cuts. Proper time utilization is the foundation that makes deep learning possible. Think about it. If you cram, you are incredibly fragile to disruptions. But if you plan, you actually comprehend the material and you become resilient. So that brings us to a final provocative question for you. In your own life, when the power goes out, when the exam format unexpectedly changes, or a real-world crisis suddenly hits, what knowledge will you actually have left in the dark? Rinky had her deep knowledge to fall back on, but Sonu had absolutely nothing. I really hope this explainer has inspired you to ditch that shortcut illusion, dig a little deeper, and take the time to truly understand the world around you. Thanks so much for joining me today for this explainer.